Yes, I want investigation. Wait, officer, wait. Officer, wait. Wait. Officer, please. Hey.
Right now, there is a show of force from the men of the armed forces, as you can see. They are shooting at the protesters. They are throwing all kinds of tear gas at them. Right now, I'm in the cover of my house. I'm sure the smell of the tear gas will soon take over my house. I will have to run for cover soon. They are shooting at the protesters, and this crowd, as you can see, is not armed. They are not even holding sticks, only leaves.
والله harbi suke wallahi tallahi sun kona sakatariya wallahi al'azimin sun sa sakatariya wuta
At every roundabout. We are here at every roundabout. Community is hijacking the peaceful protest. We came here peacefully, but they are hijacking it. Yes, violence.
We are urging them to pray for our leaders. We are also urging them to pray that this country will be better.
Since about 14 months, you have been managing that subsidy. Where are the gains? No gains. Then we are becoming more poorer every day. Then can we continue like this? No. We want this country, we want to rescue this country from there. Yes. Few people cannot take us into hostage, into ransom. Yes. So don't. Tinubu, we are sending this message to you. Do the needful. People are suffering. Nigerians are suffering.
All right, everyone, thank you all for joining me today. Okay, so we're going to be discussing the ongoing nationwide protest that's currently going on in Nigeria. We're seeing a series of these protests in Africa as a result of bad leadership, corruption. The one in Nigeria that started 2 days ago, today is day 3, August 1st was when this started, was inspired by what we saw in Kenya. It's the Kenyans started revolution in Africa as it relates to the sufferings, the poverty, the corruption at the hands of their leaders. And the youth and people of Nigeria were inspired by that because Nigeria, believe it or not, is one of those countries who also suffers bad leaderships, corruption at the hands of bad leaders, and it has been going on for years. And so about a month ago, Nigerians, being inspired by what happened in Kenya and the bravery of Kenyans with their revolution, which caused and made their president bend the knee as it relates to the finance bill, which was going to impose undue hardship against them, having that withdrawn. Kenyans and their bravery to speak out against the corruption because they've had enough was what inspired Nigerians and the youth in Nigeria to now say, you know what, we equally have the same thing going on in Nigeria. Nigeria has been plagued with corruption, bad leaders for years. And it was almost inevitable that this was going to happen. Day 1 and day 2 of this protest, which is a 10 days long protest, was really, really bad. And I want to discuss things that have happened and how and why we got here. I am going to also address my Nigerian subscribers, those who listen to me and those who are subscribed to this channel. I have a lot of people from different parts of Africa, all over Africa, who listen to me from all over the world, who are tuned in, and I'm very grateful that I can speak into your lives. I can impact you, that you take the time to watch me. So I have a lot of people, as well as people from the diaspora who are not Africans, who watch me. So I've got fans everywhere. But I am going to especially address my Nigerian subscribers who subscribe to me. I'm going to do that later on in this video, so you want to stay tuned for that. But let's get into this video real quickly, and let's talk about what's going on. So Nigerians are protesting. Nigerians are protesting. What is different with the Nigerian protests to what we saw in Kenya is that the youth and the Gen Zs in Kenya led that protest. What we're seeing with Nigeria is that it's not just the youth, it's everybody. The young, the old, the middle-aged, the elderly are part of this protest. And they should be. Because the sufferings that Nigerians have, the corruption touches everybody. The bad situation, the poverty, the bad governance that Nigeria has suffered over the years touches everybody. And it does also that in Kenya. But what I'm seeing with Nigerians with this situation is that Nigerians are united in terms of age, religion, cultural background. They're all united to protest bad governance. I want you to take a listen to a few of the frustrated Nigerians and their plight who have taken on the streets to protest their voice, and we'll discuss this after this.
Why did you physically come out for this protest today?
It's because of what is happening in the country. There's hunger, there's hardship. It's impossible for us to feed again. People are dying of starvation. People can no more send their children to school because they cannot afford the escalating school fees. People are losing their relatives and their friends and their children and their elderly ones to very minor sickness and illnesses because they cannot afford money for medicine and money to pay for Medicare because of the escalating cost of health care.
We are tired of all this sitting down in the house, not finding something to eat at will. I cannot eat what I like. As of this morning, I have not eaten. Because I was thinking, how do I sent them to go and buy something for me. They couldn't buy, they had to come back home because things are so expensive. And it's so unfortunate that the children who are supposed to be looking after us, they're all at home sleeping. No work, no employment. Employment is about gender, they put gender limitation on it.
Political connection.
Political connection, there is age, there is gender. There is tribal, whatever it is. There is this religious, whatever, your religious inclination. For how long are we going to continue like this?
nìyẹn. Ẹ gbàwé bí gbàwé. Bàbá Tinubu bí gbàwé 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 gbàwé. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Kí ló dé kòkòrò? A bá sọ fún kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ kòkòrò? Mi ìbẹ̀rù anybody o, Ọlọ́run ni kò mọ bẹ̀rù o, àwọn ọba àkọ́dá ayé àṣọdá o. Kí ló dé ẹgbẹ́ pọ̀ wá ni? Lọ́mọ táì, wọn kàn tí mo fi ṣe táì, kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Nobody, if one buy food for ilé olóúnjẹ, oh, wà lọ tó 2,000. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ gan-an? Wọ́n tún jẹ búrẹ́dì àtẹwà, wọ́n jẹ búrẹ́dì àtẹwà ò ní yó. Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Láyé ìgbà yẹn, tó bá jẹun fọ́fọ́ ilé olóúnjẹ, wọ́n jẹun yó. Pọ́lísì, búrẹ́dì àtẹwà. Ìjẹ́ ta mo lọ búrẹ́dì àtẹwà mo lọ jẹ ilé olóúnjẹ. Kí ló sọ mo lọ? What happened?
He's not competent. Okay. I mean, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, from day one, is not competent to rule us. Retirement age in Nigeria civil working age is around 60-something years. Why should our president be over 80s? It's not easy. They should not just take decisions rashly. It will land on citizens in Nigeria. We are the ones suffering. It's like we are working as slaves in our own country. Even in our bank, cybercrime is against us. They just deduct our money anyhow. I believe Nigerians should hold fast, strong. We should drag this protest as long as we can until whatever we demand gets given to us.
The government cannot be enjoying on our behalf. They are buying private jets and people are staying under the bridge. If the vice president says that those protesting for their rights, for their life, for their survival are idiots, then the vice president is an idiot. Yes, if he has the powers to call us citizens, not refugees, he looked at us and told us that we are idiots, then the vice president is an idiot. Because they are building presidential villa for you, we don't have places to stay. Have you seen the amount for house rents? You cannot pay house rents in Lagos. 10 people inside one room. People are suffering. People are hungry. And Ababio, the Senate president, the unfortunate Senate president, is telling us that he will be in the house eating while we are protesting. If we don't ask him, we will ask his children. Our children will ask his children what he has done to us. You are approving budgets of billions upon billions. You are buying jets for the president, and people cannot afford transport fare. That is wickedness. And you still say they should not protest. Wow! Who protests?
Day one of the proposed 10 days.
There will be day 2. There will be day 3. There will be day 4. And if care is not taking it, will be there forever till we get our results.
Okay, so that is very tough. And that is hard to hear the plight and the anger. These people are protesting that they are hungry. They're protesting hunger. They're protesting that they don't have a way to live. They're protesting against bad leadership, governance, corruption in the country. And these people have been going through this for years. Imagine in Nigeria. Imagine living and buying a rice, right? Imagine buying rice for almost $4, just rice, right, at grocery store. And then you still have to buy other items of food. Now imagine also living on $50 a month. Imagine living on $50 a month. That, by the way, is an increase of the new wage. That's a new wage that was just made recently to 70,000 naira. From 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. That is equivalent to $45 to $50 a month. So think about that for a second. And then think about why these people are angry. Most of the protests we're seeing is in the northern states. The protest started very, very peacefully. Nigerians came out peacefully. The government had been agitating for weeks, almost instigating and sort of putting out a signal out there that is this protest was going to go violent. They were almost like egging it on. These Nigerians came out peacefully to protest, to have their voices heard. The violence that we saw was as a result of police officers shooting tear gas in the northern part of Nigeria, Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, Borno, the northern part. Now, do you know why we saw this level of violence in the northern part? 70% of the citizens in the north live below the poverty line. 70%. Think about it for a second. These are the ones that don't make the $70,000, the $45 equivalency that I'm telling you about. These ones don't make that money. Think about that for a second. And so when you see the outrage from these people, when you see the anger, it is raw and is organic. My disappointment with the Nigerian media who are covering this are calling these people hoodlums. They're calling them thugs. They're calling them, these are people who, they're just using all manner of names to describe these people. These people are not thugs. They're not hoodlums. These are average Nigerians who are every day in hardship under a bad governance, who have lied to them every freaking year. We get the same thing, like we're getting right now. Give him time. He's only been there a year over. Give him time. That's what we heard, and Nigerians heard from the previous administration, Buhari. Give him time. Give him time. He spent 8 years in there. Didn't do nothing. Caused the country to get worse. It's the same old lie and BS. That is corrupt leaders like the one that they have right now in there, who has caused the hardship, is the same old BS. That people who benefit from the corruption tell the ones who are that impoverished, just wait a little longer. Give us time. They've been hearing that forever. How much time do people who have children, who have loved ones, have to keep enduring while the same leaders driving fancy cars, driving jets? So the idea that any person in the media, from any news in Nigeria, call these people thugs, you are shameful. You are despicable. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Because if you were in the same situation these people were, you will feel the same anger that they feel. I understand that no one wants to condone violence. I get that. And I'm not with any violence and looting and destruction of property. But come on, for God's sakes. It's the same way they demonized the Gen Zs in Kenya. That these ones are looters and criminals and thugs. The same way. Until they found out, after this whole thing had gone on for weeks, that these were Kenyans that were crying out. Nigerians are crying out today. Because it's a suffering that has been going on in that country for a long time. And people who benefit from the corruption of that country will tell everybody else, be quiet. Don't worry about it. It's not that bad. This administration is doing good. What the hell is this administration doing? This administration came in, and under his administration, the dollar to a naira is almost 2,000 naira. This administration came in and destroyed the economy, took away fuel subsidy without putting in place, and I criticized that when it happened, without putting in place a soft cushion so that people will not suffer when he took that out. That is what has caused this. Taking away the fuel subsidy, that skyrocketed price of everything in a country that's already burdened. You would think someone with an accounting background would know and have a common sense that taking away fuel subsidy without putting measures in place to ease that being taken away was going to cause undue hardship. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Because that hardship doesn't come to him or his family. He doesn't care about none of that. And so his people are suffering. In the midst of that suffering, these corrupt leaders, let me tell you what these corrupt leaders have been doing in the last couple of months. They're asking for budget to be passed to buy fancy jets. Listen to these headlines and see what the Nigerian leaders who are tone deaf and trying to hide and deny the anger from these Nigerians. Listen to what they were doing and the lavish spending they were making in the face of their own people who are living in poverty. Look at this. According to Times, Senate justified purchase of luxury vehicle amidst economic hardship. Nigerian Senate. Look at Sahara Reporters. The governor of Ogun State, Abiodun, to buy 2.4 billion naira Toyota SUV for lawmakers. Can you imagine that? These are the same people who are telling these protesters and calling them hoodlums and thugs for getting angry at their own leaders who are lavishly spending. Here is Times again. Representatives speak on plans to buy officials vehicles for lawmakers in a country that has over 60% poverty rate in general. The lawmakers in our own, they're just fattening their pockets. Look at Associated Press. Nigeria's government budget for SUVs and president's wife, while millions struggle to make ends meet. They're trying to pass budgets for new jets, for fancy cars. This is what Nigerians have been doing for years. The debts that Nigeria has today, the borrowing from IMF and many other places, has been as a result of lavish spending at the hands of these corrupt leaders. You gonna get it today from me. Because not enough for us, right, to criticize everybody else. It's not enough for us to point at all the other leaders who are horrible and the horrible leaders who are scamming and looting their own people. And not talk about Nigeria, who's also part of that corruption. Now, here's what we saw when this protest was announced a month ago. A couple of days leading to that protest, we saw the Nigerian police and military. What you're watching right now is like Nigerian police and military showing a parade of force, a display of force, a display of courage, or a display of some kind of military order. You look at them marching, you would think they were going to attack and they were going to war. Where was this military might against Boko Haram? Where was this show of force or display of police and military units against Boko Haram, a terrorist organization that has been destroying and snatching people, suicide bombings, and all of that? Where it was all of this attention by the military and the Nigerian government against Boko Haram? But no, they want to do it against peaceful protesters who have a justification to be angry at a government that takes them for a ride. They have the guts to have it. Now, here, let me address the Nigerians in the room. Because you will find Nigerians who will justify this bad government. Let me address those Nigerians real quickly. If you're a Nigerian, subscribe to my channel, right? And you're one of those who gets bent out of shape and angry or upset when CJ criticizes Nigeria, you need to get the hell out of my platform. Today, take your subscription and get out. I don't need your subscription here. You're part of the cancer and the problem. For anyone to look at this administration and justify the evil with this administration, you need to get out of my platform, because you're not going to like me. This is not a Nigerian channel. Do you understand this? I give it to anyone who hurts our people. This channel represents our people all over the world, whether they're in Africa, whether they're here in the West, or whether they're in Europe. It doesn't matter if they're Africans or non-Africans. I am all about speaking for our people. And any one leader, organization, or country that inflicts pain on our people, I am not for that. And I will speak up against it. And that includes Nigeria. So if you're a Nigerian on my platform, bent out of shape that CJ is criticizing a corrupt president, you need to get the hell out. Because the moment you make such stupid comments on my platform, I'm going to get you out gladly. Because no one in their right mind will see the sufferings of people. And a lot of these people are not in Nigeria. A lot of these people, who want to defend the corruption of Nigeria. They're not in Nigeria. So they can close their eye. They're part of the problem. They're part of the problem where the people out there are suffering every day. You have a country that would allow a corporation like Shell in the Delta region spill and pollute the land, and the people are drinking infested water, and the government closed a blind eye to it. This government closed a blind eye to it. Who cares? As long as it's not affecting me and my children. This government created an office for his own wife and his daughter. So now we have the office of the first lady, we have the office of the first daughter. Nonsense. So they all now have private jets that will be allocated to them. Corruption. So I warned you all about voting for this. Here's how you know the corrupt government. The Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, very corrupt. Is that leading up to this protest, the same way he bought the vote, the same way he paid people. I want you to take a look at this video right now that you're watching. The same way he paid people during the protest, during the election that got him into the office, which is not won fairly. He paid people off. In the same way he went and paid people 2,000 naira to protest against the protest. Think about that for a second. Because they know they can always find people who are so hungry and starved that they would take 2,000 naira, people who aren't educated, people who don't have an education, right? They know they can always find people. 2,000 naira, that can even get you a gum. 2,000 naira equivalent to the US dollar is less than $2. And those people took the money. These are the same ones that took the money last year, or a little over a year when he came into presidency, switched their vote and voted for him. The same corrupt person passing out food and rice. Look at this mess you're watching right now. Look at this mess you're watching. This is a corrupt government who knows that they're hurting their people, who knows that they're destroying the lives of people. They don't care. Until now, they see that their people are outraged, are pissed off. They want to bribe like they've always done the people, so that way they can keep going along with business as usual and corruption and keep digging the country into more holes. This administration and this government is one of the corrupt ones. And you know what's so funny about it? Is that they blame COVID. You will find people come out and say, oh, it's COVID, just like the one we found in Kenya. It's COVID. Like Nigeria was great before COVID. Like Nigeria was that great before COVID. Nigeria has always been a corrupt place. Always. They act like Nigeria was such a great place before COVID. And so they blame everything on COVID. No. It's bad leadership, corruption, bad governance. And so now you're finding Nigerians saying enough is enough. And to Nigerians, I say kudos for making your voice heard. Kudos for making your voice heard. Because just like Kenya, and just like the revolution we saw in Kenya, you saw the act of bravery from Kenyans. Make their president change course. Not only did he rip the whole unjust tax that he was trying to levy against his own people while he was flying private jets, he fired all his cabinet members. They're still calling him for his resignation. So you have another corrupt one, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the current president of Nigeria, who's a puppet to the West. He answers to the West. He was placed in that position at the backing of the United States because they have something on him. This is a person who has a shady past, shady background, which was exposed by a gentleman now that they're threatening. A journalist who exposed this man who used to be an ex-drug dealer in the United States. I covered this a year ago. Of course, the United States will back a person like that in prison because they know they got something over him. Of course. They will back a corrupt person like that because that serves their interest. So you have a puppet like that who destroys his country, plunges his country into worse chaos. to benefit outside forces, outside entity. And now he's got judgment in his hands. And here is the cowardice of this president. He has not come out to address the nation. Can you imagine that? He has not come out to talk to the nation. This is the same person who, when he was running for election, would not answer one question. He went to Chatham House in London. And they were there asking him questions. He was telling people to answer the questions for him. This is the same person. Will not answer any question. He's the same one hiding under the bunkers, hiding in the basement. Your country is on fire. This is day 3 and people are mad at you. He hasn't come to address his people. That's how much of love that he has for his own people. At least the one in Kenya came out. Ruto, we can give him that. He came out to say, I've heard you. He came out to address his people. That's bravery. That we can give to him. This one is hiding under the basement. This corrupt leader is hiding under the basement. But he's going to have to address it because his people are mad. This is just day 3. His military and his police were shooting into the crowd. They agitated this whole thing. And they want to blame it on citizens who have been living in poverty. Did you hear that one video? People die because they don't have money for healthcare. Senseless death that could easily be prevented. They don't have money. People die of starvation in Nigeria. Die of hunger in Nigeria. And you have a government who loots the resources of the country and sends it out. On top of the fact, this same government, corrupt entity, fight a man like Aliko Dangote, who built a refinery to help to improve the economic state. They fight that because they're working with an outside entity to sabotage that refinery. That's the corruption that these people are fighting against. That is what Nigerians say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Because at some point, when you keep robbing, taking people for a ride, at some point, people are going to snap. They're going to tell you that, you know what? No, because the power lies with the people. The power is with the people. And you have these corrupt leaders in Africa. Most countries in Africa plagued with these guys. Plagued with them. And they've gone away scot-free because they can always bribe a few people to try to keep quiet while they continue business as usual. Their family members all living in other countries, Europe, United States. They all live in fat, go to best schools, and they have the audacity to come online and tell the people who are suffering every day that you don't have the right to be angry. To look at them every day and tell them, why are you angry? Give us time. How much time? As long as I can remember, Nigerians have always been in this suffering. For as long as I can remember. They've been saying the same thing. And so now you got your problems. And so let's see how you're going to handle it. Let's see how you're going to handle it. Because this is the kind of things I tell you, people, that nobody wants to see in their country. This is the type of nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see people in poverty, dying, suffering, elderly women die because of starvation. What the hell is going on? And you have a government that live lavishly at the backs of people that are suffering every day. So Nigerians are making their voices heard. And to that I say kudos to you. Because it's about goddamn time that you made your voices heard. So that when people stop taking you for a ride. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Please like the video, share the content, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för dig baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger all min tid och jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety. Det kan nog leda baby. Och jag kommer aldrig ändra mig.